Hello. Today I walk my dog Ruby and I use this. This is a no-pull harness. You can get them all over the place. There's lots of different types and they have revolutionized my relationship with my dog, because before then I got my arm pulled out the socket. She was being strangled, and even though we did try a bit of training, it just seemed to be she always wanted to go a bit faster than I was prepared to walk. And the reason this got me thinking about co-parenting is because, well, in what I noticed about this harness is it's not harming her in any way. It's a very gentle, peaceful way to persuade her to do the right thing. So it just puts pressure on here when she pulls, it pressures there, and that seems to be enough for a dog to go, oh, okay, I'll go slower then. It's almost like you've got your hand there all the time, I suppose. And yet when they're pulling on a chain and strangling themselves, they just carry on pulling. So I began to think about how it can be that when you have an ex, co-parenting ex that you're trying to work well with, that sometimes with the best will in the world, you just don't seem to have the right boundaries in place that are gentle and respectful that actually work. And I guess the example I was thinking of was a lady who a few years ago, actually it was probably a couple of years ago now, she spoke to me about how she was so pleased with herself because she'd been able to do a conscious uncoupling, very peaceful separation. It was still the early days, so it's still quite raw. And the dad would arrive to pick up the children from the house, and she would say, come on in and have a cup of tea. And it was all blissful. And I said, that's fantastic that you've managed to do that at such an early stage. So when he rocks up in the future with a girlfriend, are you going to be fine about that? Are they going to get to come in together and have a cup of tea? And she went, no, I'm not going to be happy about that at all. I said, well, that's a tricky one then, isn't it? Because he's going to feel like the rug's been pulled out from under his feet. He will have been used to this particular way of working, and suddenly you've changed it all. And the children subliminally are going to be thinking, oh, better be careful who I bring home to mummy. And it could all get really quite messy. So you're kind of setting yourself up for a problem later, even though at the time you think you're just doing everything peacefully and wonderfully. And I think this is often an issue, that we forget that doing things peacefully doesn't mean it's not necessarily fluffy at all. In fact, it often means you have to really think quite carefully and be very honest about where you are now, as well as where you want to be in the future. So I said to her, yeah, I mean, I've had Christmas breakfasts with my kid's dad and his new wife, and it was all brilliant. But that wasn't in the right at the beginning. So aim for that. But in between that, put in some structures, some boundaries that are sustainable. So, but are gentle and aren't forceful in any way. And an example of that might be that instead of having dad pick the kids up from the house, that there's a really nice place that you go and the kids love the hot chocolate, or they do really good coffee, and you meet up there and you have a chat, you have a catch up, and then the kids go off with dad. And you can be thinking, right, one day in the future, dad or mum, if it's the other way around, you might be thinking they could be turning up with a new partner. How do I feel about that? In this environment, in this place, I think I could cope with that. And then you know it's the right place. And maybe in the future, they'll be able to come to your house. Everything will be wonderful, but that might be a few years away. So I encourage all of you not to put a no-pull harness on your ex. That is not what I'm saying. But think about what kind of gentle, respectful, sustainable boundaries you can put in place right from the beginning by thinking ahead and being honest with yourself about where you are emotionally at this time. I'm Susie Miller, divorce strategist on the battlefield of divorce and in the war of family separation. Please make peace your weapon of choice.